As part of the practice series of videos that I'm working on just now, I want to talk about performance practice today. Now, there's a few bits of information on this. Again, in the description below, you'll see all the chapters, so feel free to jump about the video to find some stuff that might be useful to yourself. Performances come in kind of different shapes and sizes, if you like. You could have auditions, you could have a grading maybe coming up, you could have a recital or some other sort of gig as well. And in the other video when I was talking about chunking, when you just basically pull out tiny wee bits of the music that you work on, that's really good for learning your music. However, it's not so good for preparation for when you're going to do one of these things. Performance practice basically means, you take your piece and you'll play it from start to finish, and that's it. It's really quite straightforward. People will get into the habit of like going from the start and they'll play until they get to a bit that's challenging, and then what they'll do is they'll go from the start and they'll get to the bit that's challenging, and then they'll go. Anyway, you get the point. When you do this, what happens is the start of your music becomes incredibly good, and the end of your music becomes a bit kind of not so incredibly good. There's a few different stages to performance practice. The first stage I would always suggest is just, yourself. Just take your music, play through it. Try to like mentally tag where the problem is as you're playing through. Now, that's not easy to do. So the second stage kind of covers this as well, and the second stage would be to record yourself. As I said, what happens is often I can play through a piece and I'll be like, oh, that bit didn't work very well, and they'll keep playing, and that bit didn't work very well, and they'll keep playing all the way to the end, and then I'll go, I can't remember what bits were rubbish. So it makes it really difficult. Once you start recording your performances, then you can go back and you can listen to your music and you can follow your music and just put wee marks in your music where the problem areas were. There's something weird about recording. You always feel as if you've got an audience. Once you start doing it, you do get used to it, and eventually it doesn't become a thing. But once you start recording, you'll find that you'll begin to feel a wee bit nervous about it, almost as if there's people actually in watching you. The next step for performance practice would be to get a small audience. Now, make sure it's a friendly audience. Don't just pull somebody off the street that you don't know. They probably wouldn't come into your house anyway, to be fair. But if you could get somebody, even if it's just girlfriend, boyfriend, close friend, whatever, and have them actually sit in the room with you while you play. If they're sitting in the house in another room and they can hear you, that's not the same. You need to actually have them, sitting actively listening to you, because it just builds a wee bit of pressure onto you, and that helps you then figure out where the parts are that you need to work on a wee bit more. Of course, the next step is just to bring it, extend it, get a slightly bigger audience. Even if a good thing just now, you can maybe do it on Zoom. You could get 4 or 5 people on Zoom and just have them listen to you at the time. Now, all these things are really good. It's amazing how you'll quickly find areas that you think might have been okay, and they're actually not. You need to spend a lot more time on them. So yeah, it's good to do these things before you actually go in to do a performance. If you don't do this stuff, then your performance is likely to be a car crash. Anyway, I've got a couple of resources for you that's worth having a look at. One of the people I watch is Josh Wright. Him and his wife have both got doctorates in piano, great players, great teachers. They've got a bunch of videos. If you actually look up Josh Wright Performance on YouTube, you'll find a bunch of videos, but there's 2 that I noted, and that was Performance is a Separate Skill. It's a good video, and Nervous to Perform Well, Pretend You Are Dying. Sounds a bit dramatic, but it's actually a really good video and worth watching. He's also got a podcast that you can listen to as well. The other website that I would suggest would be Bulletproof Musician. This guy's got a website as well, and he talks about performance anxiety and excellent practice techniques and stuff like that. And a lot of his articles are actually backed up by scientific studies that have been done across different areas like music and sport and other things like that. Okay, hopefully you found this video useful. Thanks very much for your time, and I'll see you in another video.